Hello YouTube family, it's Yanni back here today. Today we're going to be working on the 4Runner, and we got that roof rack, just came in today. We're putting it on Letty. It's 100 degrees here in beautiful upstate New York. Let's get started. So the first thing we're going to have to do to install this roof rack is to get the original stock roof rails off of it. So to do that, we'll go up here so that you can see, hopefully. And I have a plastic tool. This is a better way to go if you can, so that you're not scratching the paint around here. You're going to need to pry between this rubber gasket right here. I don't know if you can see that that's rubber, and this hard plastic piece. So what we're going to try to do is work our tool in here and then just pry up a little. You hear that pop? And just keep working your way around. You'll hear it pop. Just keep working around on it. And eventually it will pop just like that. So now that it's popped up, we can take it off. See? Look at that. We didn't break any of the factory clips. So if we ever wanted to, we could reuse this. I don't know who would, but you could. So we're going to do that all the way around, and then we'll come back to you for taking these bolts out. So what we need is a 12mm socket. You can use a socket wrench, a regular hand socket, a battery powered impact gun, an air powered impact gun, whatever you have to get these couple of bolts off. So we're going to take these out with something else. We're going to try using a wrench first to loosen these, then come back with the gun to save us time for getting all the bolts out. Much easier. It might also be that I have a dead battery in my impact gun. So anyway, we're taking these bolts out, we're taking those bolts out at all four corners, taking the rails off, and we'll be back with you. Okay, we got them off. There's the rails. There's the truck. It looks a little naked on top. We'll fix that soon enough. But one thing I did want to note is that Toyota put Loctite on those bolts, which is probably why my poor little battery powered impact couldn't get that taken care of. But it works once you throw a wrench on it, get it started a little bit to loosen it up, and then the drill takes them right out. So the next thing we're going to do here, if we come up to the top and take a look, you'll see there are these little plastic tubes here and here, and these tubes have a little bit of space between them and the body. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear that out, and we're going to cover those all the way around in black silicone RTV. So let me do that, and then we'll get back and I'll show you exactly what I did. Okay, we're back. So we've used our black RTV to caulk around all the holes all the way around. Okay, just like that. We want to try to get real good bit of goober all around there. Seal that up nice. Last thing we want is water coming in on our headliners because we hit a rainstorm. So you're also, when we put the bolts in, you'll see we're going to want to RTV the threads of those bolts too. Make sure they stay sealed up. Okay, we are back, and the first thing we're going to do is put this little block in place just over the tubes that we just gooped up so they don't leak. Then they very conveniently put these nice big labels on here. Back, part C, D, meaning driver's side. Not only did they label it, they also, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, they stamped it CD. So they must have known they were shipping this to me, because they give you a diagram of how these things go, and they give you the labels to know where you're going. A's are in the front, B's are in the middle, C's are in the back, D's are for driver's side, P's are for passenger side. Doesn't get a whole lot easier than that. So what we're going to do is take our CD driver side bracket, put it here on the back now that we've placed that little bracket on there, and then they sent these nice, they look like stainless bolts. So we're going to run this stainless hardware in snug, not super tight, snug, just so that it holds the bracket in place. And we're going to do that on the four corners that we have the holes in. So that's going to be BD, CD, BP, CP. Okay, we're not going to bother with the fronts yet. until we get the rack in place, because we'll have to set the height adjustment. So we're gonna wait on that. Now, I'm gonna go ahead. These now are 13mm sockets for these bolts. So I'm gonna put these on, snug them up, and we'll get back. I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what they look like when they're installed. That's our C bracket for the back on the driver's side, CD, BD. These were labeled pink, conveniently, and those ones were labeled green on the other side. So they really do a nice job trying to let you know where each of these components belong. So now that we got those on, I'll have to double check the directions, but I believe the next step is to get a buddy or two and lift the rack up here, stick it on, try to get it lined up with these slots, and we'll put some bolts on. Once we snug up the rack, we'll put the front feet on that are in front of, I believe, right in front of the sunroof. We did get the sunroof insert, so it's not normally in, but can be put in as needed. So I'll let you know when we get back to the next step. My buddy's on his way over, and we'll get it up. So actually, my buddy bailed on me, and he had some other important stuff to do, but I was able to get this rack up here by myself. And the trick, what I did, was when I took it out of the box from in my garage, I hoisted it up over my head. But before I did any of that, I put a nice big piece of cardboard up here. So I was able, I'm 6 foot, so I was able to lift the rack up and over at these brackets and onto the cardboard, and then slide it across the cardboard to the other side. Then I just went around, picked it up, set it on those brackets, and there are no scratches on my roof. So the cardboard did its job, and I was able to get it up there all by myself. So with that, what we've learned is when we put it on here, you'll see there are these slots in the roof rack that match up with these slots from the bracket below. So what we're going to do is take some of this stainless hardware with these lock nuts. These are also 13mm. Put them through here. Again, snug them up. Don't tighten them all the way down yet. We want to make sure we get everything in and aligned before we go and snug everything all the way down. So that corner, this corner, that corner, that corner. We're going to put all these bolts in, and then we'll line the rack up, make sure everything's set, horse them down, make sure everything's sturdy, and then we'll work up here to these front ones that will go in here. I took out, while I was moving it, I took out the piece that will go in here when it's needed to cover the sunroof, just to make it lighter so that I could pick it up easier without all that front weight on it. So I have it, it's in the garage. We can put that on later, but for now, we're just gonna work on the main part of the rack. All right, we'll get back to you when it's on. So there we have it. The roof rack is on. The bolts are in the brackets down in here, but they're loose, right? As you can see there, because I now need to align the rack and make sure it's positioned where I want. So the first thing I'm going to do is make sure to push it as far forward as I can, because I also bought the ladder that will go on the tailgate of my 4Runner. So there are two things that I want to make sure. One is I want to make sure it's as far forward as I can so that when the tailgate opens, you can see this lip that sticks out. As this opens, I don't want an interference with the rack. I don't want this to hit. So I also need to take into account that the ladder is going to go up here and come over this as well, which is going to add some thickness. Again, when lifted on the tailgate, I don't want the ladder or the top of the tailgate to hit the rack. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to push the rack as far forward as I can. Then from the back, I'll look down it and try to make sure that, if you can see that, it looks like the front is too far that way. So we'll push it all the way forward and try to align it straight with the rails, the rubber rails along the roof. So we're going to do that. Then we can snug down all the bolts, make sure that everything's tight, and we should be good to move on to the ladder. So we're back, and I snugged up the bolts on all 4 brackets that are on right now. And I realized that, and I don't know if you'll be able to see this too good on camera, but it looks like the rack is too far that way on this side, but it's also looks like it's too far that way on this side. So I don't know whether it's the car or the rack, that's dovetailed slightly. I'm not going to bother taking measurements to do it, but I just tried to eyeball to see if it looks like it's about the same amount or difference on both sides, and it looks pretty square to me, and it's good enough for what we're going to be using it for. So I did lie to you though on that last video. I said then we'd be ready for the ladder, but we're not. We're still missing the brackets that go right in here. These ones up here come down and have feet on the roof. So right now there's nothing supporting the front, although I will say it feels incredibly sturdy. I can move the entire car with no flex in the roof rack right here, but for safety's sake, we're obviously going to put those feet on. So that will be next. So this is the front mount where I stuck the VBH tape to the rubber on the top here and bolted it. Then I applied a little bit of force in between the rack and the roof before I tightened the bolts, just to make sure that it's got good pressure downwards and it won't be bouncing around. But it's pretty solid, very sturdy. So that's how we finished the bracket for the front roof rack. That's the front of the roof rack. So now everything's been tightened down. I've actually been up here standing on it, and it is very solid, very sturdy. So this is a great rack so far from Baja Rack, and we are very pleased. So this is the ladder. I didn't get to show you last night how this gets installed, but I'll just walk you through it quickly now. Up here, there's a big plate right here, and just around the edge of this plate is a lip that's bent over. So you actually have to pick the rack, or the ladder rather, all the way up, slide it down into this slot, and then rotate it back down. So the lip grabs this inside lip of the tailgate cover. So after that, you just kind of position it where you want on the back. I chose here because it's just a little bit left of this plastic piece. So we put it there, and then down here, the trick is, the first thing that I did was inside, and apologies, you probably won't be able to tell, but in here there's a little aluminum plate up in there. I don't know if you can see that. See that aluminum plate in there? So that has VHB tape on it as well. And I was first thing I did was figure out where this bracket had to go, and then stuck that aluminum plate in there. Okay, then this is the bottom of the ladder. If it'll focus here, that's the bottom of the ladder, and this is that bracket. So this bracket comes around the lip, the bottom of the tailgate, and attaches to that aluminum bar in the back that we already stuck on. So once I knew the position of the bar, I stuck the bar on. Then the problem that I had was this ladder rack is very snug, so I was not able to get it down this far so that I could get these bolts on. I actually needed somebody to come stand on it to put enough downward pressure. This bottom bracket here of the ladder was probably up here somewhere, but once I had somebody stand on it, it was a two-person job. So we had somebody stand on it, and it brought it down much farther, and to the point where we could get these bolts in. So then I put these bolts in, snugged it down while somebody was standing on it, and once I was sure that this was solid, then I came back underneath, and there's a couple of set screws inside this bracket that will squeeze on that little aluminum plate there just to keep it secure. So once all that was put on, this ladder is now incredibly strong. So I'm a 260-pound person, and I can climb up and down that ladder without a problem. And the 4Runner takes it, the tailgate takes it, no problem. So very, very pleased. This is the full mesh, full length rack from Baja Rack with the sunroof cut out, but we also have the sunroof insert for when we need it, and the ladder, matching ladder, also from Baja Rack. But this ladder is on their website but can't be ordered, so If you want the ladder, just give them a call and give them the part number, and they will certainly get it out to you. So that's it. That's our ladder and roof rack. And just to show you from back here, that's what it looks like. It looks great. We're very happy. Okay, YouTube, that's it. That was the installation of our roof rack and ladder from Baja Rack. It went very smoothly, very easy to put on. It would probably be easier with a second person, especially to get the rack up on the roof. But if you use the cardboard trick, that works too. So hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, please leave your questions in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you. Take care, guys.